Well, hello, and welcome to Cinema Shock, the podcast exploring the stories behind your favorite cult and genre films. I'm one of your hosts, Gary Horn.
Hey, I'm Justin Bishop.
And I'm writer comedian Mr. Todd A. Davis. Thank you for joining us for this bonus episode containing our opinions about James Gunn's Superman.
Here we are, guys. We're doing a brand new movie. Look at us.
Yeah.
Look at us. It's still opening weekend, and we're recording an episode about a movie. We don't ever do this.
I was gonna say, what was the newest thing we've discussed on the show? It's been a while.
I don't know. It's
Oh.
well, yeah. As far as closest to release, probably The Matrix Resurrections. As far as like a regular discussion, we may have had some other bonus episodes. I can't remember, man. We've been doing
Good.
this
We actually went to a movie together, which is
Yeah.
unusual for us.
It is
And,
unusual. We all live in the same town. We live a few miles from each other, but we rarely go to the movies together. I go to the movies all the time. I go to the movies once a week, most weeks. You guys do not. And so it's almost like pulling teeth to get you guys to go out to the movies.
Yeah.
I don't like to leave my house.
Well,
Yeah, I'm the same way.
I love the movies, which is why I do Cinema Shock, because I love the movies. So I want to see.
Oh,
I
we
wanna-
are less than, Todd.
You just
So-
don't love them as much as I do, guys.
I
Well,
watch lots of movies at home. But,
Yeah.
but I will say I enjoy the theatrical experience, and I forget it sometimes, and especially this one in IMAX was pretty damn fun.
I'm just kind of giving you guys shit, but I really do think that the theatrical experience is very important, and it's sort of in danger right now. So I do really think that there's something really special about seeing a movie in a theater with people who are also really excited to see it. Now, granted, yes, I know that a lot of times the theatrical experience sucks. I know that there are shitty audiences and people talk and goof around, but if you get in a theater with the right audience, I think it can make a movie, even a movie that you've seen 100 times. Like I remember seeing Jaws on the big screen for the first time, and I knew that movie front and back, but seeing it with a crowd was a brand new experience because you're feeding off the energy in the room, you're feeding off everyone else's excitement. So we went to see Superman on opening night, Thursday night, on the IMAX here in town with a sold out screening. I mean, that every seat in that place was full. I mean, when I bought tickets 3 weeks earlier, it was almost full.
Yeah.
We went with all of our wives went, a couple other friends of ours, some guys from the Cinema Shock Discord went. So we had a whole big group go there, and the energy in the room was pretty palpable. Like people were stoked for this. Like you had people in their Superman t-shirts, you had people
So
dressed
many Superman shirts.
Oh, and even a couple, a few people in full on Superman costumes. Like
Yeah,
people
I saw
were
at
out
least
for it.
two. Yeah.
Yeah, people were stoked for it, which makes me pose the question to you guys, since you don't go to the movies as often as I do. What was it about Superman? Like, why were you excited enough to go see this one on opening night?
For some reason, the marketing in this one really got me that it was like it. There was something about the look up, like the whole
Yeah.
marketing
Yeah.
of the movie. It just excited me, and then the idea of how epic in scope it could be, and seeing it on that giant screen felt
Yeah.
like I don't know, something about that really pulled me to it. The second you mentioned IMAX, I was like, okay, I'm in. I want to
Hell
see
yeah.
this
Let's do it.
that way.
Yeah, I think it's for me, same for me. I think, the marketing, the technical side, I was like, there's no way this movie's not gonna look amazing. But I think for me, kind of looking at, and I'll get into this a little bit later with, where this falls in sort of the legacy of Superman movies. Gary's absolutely right. There was something about Look Up, and I think maybe it's where we are as a society, especially in this country, of like it's tough to look optimistic. And like here more recently, like Superman, the old thing was Superman was truth, justice, and the American way, and then it's sort of truth, justice, and hope, and then
Mhm.
now it's kind of solely become hope. So with that prompting of Look Up as like maybe this will make me feel better.
Yeah.
Like I'm just looking to have a good time. Maybe this will make me not feel like such a
I think that's fair. That
Yeah.
I think that's how I felt too.
100%,
I
yeah.
think going into it, I was, and it turns out the movie's a lot about that. So I think that's cool too.
Yeah.
And well, and hell, that's kind of the best part of it for me is I mean, I don't know how much we're going to dive in right this second, but just the idea that to me Superman is inspiring again, which is the
Yes.
way he is to the people in DC.
Hmm.
Like the characters in DC, like Superman is this inspiring figure,
Yeah.
and it felt like, wow, somebody's like that's happening for him again.
Yeah. Well, let's get into it then, our thoughts on it. And before we do, I want to tell everyone that's listening that if you have not seen Superman yet, we are going to start this episode as we're going to try to be spoiler free. There will be some light story notes, but it's nothing that you probably couldn't have inferred from watching the trailer. We're going to probably get into some spoiler territory later on. Before this is not going to be like a 3 hour episode like our normal stuff. This is going to be a quick hit. But towards the end, we'll probably get into some spoiler stuff. But before we do, we will clearly tell you when we're
I'm
getting
gonna
into spoiler territory. But first, we're gonna start. We're gonna get this out there for everybody, and because maybe you're listening to this and you're on the fence and you want to know whether or not you should go see it. Well, we're gonna give you our thoughts without spoiling anything. First of all,
I'm gonna complain at the end, so that'll require spoilers.
Ah.
that's something to look forward to, I guess.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Uh,
are we quote unquote looking forward to?
Try to get these little stingers up top, like the little teasers to
Yeah,
that make you
yes.
stay till the end.
Personally, like I was already very stoked. I was very hyped for this movie going into it for a couple of reasons. One, uh, I'm a big Superman fan. I grew up a big Superman fan. And it's funny because I've talked to a lot of people who saw this who really enjoyed this movie. They're like, man, I really enjoyed this, even though I've never been a Superman guy. I've never been a fan of Superman in the comics or the movies or anything. I'm not that. Superman was the first comic book superhero that I really got into. Like when I was in fifth or sixth grade, the whole death of Superman thing happened and it was all over the news. So I got
course.
sucked into it. I bought the trade of Death of Superman, and then I bought every book that was, which at the time was Man of Steel, Action Comics, uh, just Superman and Superman
Action
something
Comics?
else. No, I already said Action Comics, but there
Oh,
were
okay.
four.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there was
there were
Action
four.
Comics. There was Man of Steel. There was that's weird. I can't remember them either
There's
because
a
each
fourth
of them
one.
had had
Man of
had the
Tomorrow?
different Superman.
It might have been Man of Tomorrow. I can't remember, but there were four of them, and they all followed the reign of the Superman. These four people who were attempting to fill Superman's shoes. So I got really sucked into it, and it became
Superman
like
75 was the death. Just FYI, I remember that. I
of
had
the
that.
actual
I have,
the actual.
yeah, I
Yeah,
have that
I've
issue.
still got that issue in the black bag. Yeah, it's not worth shit because they printed so many. I bought two copies, and I read one and I kept one in the bag, and so many people did that issue is not worth anything. It's not worth like no money. I don't care how good condition it's in, and I don't care that it's 30 something years old at this point. But anyways, that's one of the reasons I was stoked for this, and also I don't think Superman's been done right on screen since 1978,
Bingo.
whenever it was.
Yeah.
And I also am a big James Gunn fan. I've been a big James Gunn fan since Slither. Honestly, since Tromeo and Juliet, although I didn't know who he was at the time. But Slither was a big one for me. I love that movie. I love his sense of humor. And I've loved to watch his career going from making these scrappy little like horror and genre movies and even one of which is sort of a parody of a superhero movie, which is Super with Rainn Wilson and
So
Elliot
good.
Page. Great
Yeah.
movie.
Watched that not too long ago.
Oh, it's fantastic. And then he got into the Marvel universe, of course, with the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, which I think are some of like the best Marvel movies that there are. All three of those movies are solid, and I love his take on it. I love how he can be irreverent, and that comes from his background as like he's a punk kid. He started working for Troma and things like that, but he's also got a lot of heart, and I think those Guardians of the Galaxy movies are a good example of both of those halves of James Gunn coming together. And also I think he's a good storyteller. I was though very curious, like how is he going to I can see how the heartfelt side of James Gunn is going to work into Superman because it's if he does Superman like the comics, like yeah, then that makes sense. How's he going to work the other irreverent stuff without it feeling out of place in a Superman movie? That was the big question for me. And I think he did a pretty good job. I mean, there is humor here, but it's not quite as irreverent as what we got in like Guardians of the Galaxy.
I think James Gunn is a good place to start with this because I do think, well, we can talk more about this in spoiler territory, but I think that if you if you are as big of a fan of James Gunn as Justin is, then you'll love this movie. And if you don't like James Gunn, I think you'll have some problems with it. And
Yeah.
it is very James Gunn, and his fingerprints are all over it. I love James Gunn as well, so I'm okay with that. I will say too, I was curious like how much I was going to be into Superman in this because I am not a Superman guy. I mean, I did have all those comics and I love comic books in general and Superman's okay. Like I've always been kind of like he's overpowered. His stories are generally kind of boring to me. And there's been some good ones, don't get me wrong, like that I was really into it during the Death of Superman thing. Superman for All Seasons, like there's some people like Tim Sale and Jeff Loeb that can like make some cool stuff to do. I've got like Superman Red Sun in trade back here, and like there's some fun like Superman stories to read, but overall, like he's just not the most exciting character to me. But this movie has changed a lot of that, I think. Like I thought that they took everything that does work about Superman and put it on screen.
I think for me, going back to what Justin said about James Gunn bringing sort of that irreverent energy and tone to some of the work, I think that the way that that manifests here is honesty. Honesty, especially of Superman himself. Like
Yeah.
when posed the question, why are you doing these things? And you see him trying to, this isn't super spoilery or anything, but you see him trying to like give the diplomatic answer and then finally coming to the point of people were going to die. It's like, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's
Which
your thing, man.
Yeah, and that's in the trailer, so I
Yeah,
would
yeah,
definitely
yeah.
not say that's spoilery. But I think that he does tone down that irreverence a little bit to make it fit the character better.
Right.
But I do think that it's still there. I mean, his humor is still there. Like Gary said, his fingerprints are still all over it. One
Sure.
thing that you said, Gary, that is it's one of those complaints that I've heard a lot about Superman as a character, which is that he's too powerful. I think
Mm.
one thing that's a common complaint because it's like, how do you beat a man who like is the most powerful being in the universe?
Boy, he never
Well,
seems in like under threat at
right.
any point.
But I think what James Gunn did here that is so smart, and this is the scene from the very first trailer. So this is again not a spoiler, but the very first scene that you see in this movie is somebody has beat the shit out of Superman, and he is bloodied and he is hurt. And
Yeah.
the first image that you see of Superman in this movie is a Superman who can bleed and can be hurt. And I think that was a very important way to establish that this is, yes, he is all powerful, but he is not
I was
invulnerable.
I was going to bring up that same point that he is still Superman, but he does get his ass handed to him in this movie a few different times. I've seen some people bitch too much, like that they've said, wow, he just gets smacked around all through this movie. I don't ever think it's too much. I still think they make him seem very strong, but yeah, the counter to Superman always to me in Marvel, which I guess now you could say it's somebody like Century or something like that, but it was always like Captain America was the figure over in the Marvel side of things. And to me, like I always loved Captain America and I liked him more because he was inspiring, but he was a guy who oftentimes he's getting beat down and everything stacked up against him. And he is not the most powerful person in the Marvel universe. And he's, and especially compared to like Superman. So it was always like seeing him figure out some way to get through this obstacle. And so that's kind of the way I always thought of them. But in this one, Superman does have to. Superman not only is I don't know if he's weaker or what the deal is, but he's definitely been beaten up,
Mhm.
and so he can be hurt. And then also he's questioned, uh, not just like everybody accepts, like here comes Superman and he'll save the day. Like people, including you see it in the trailers, like Lois going after him for like what Todd was mentioning. Like did you think any of this through? Are you thinking about the consequences of your actions? And it's not just like he gets free reign to just do whatever without people being like, "Hey, maybe you need to slow down a little bit here." And I like that aspect of the movie. I thought that was cool.
Speaking of, since you mentioned Lois, let's talk a little bit about the people filling these like iconic shoes, because you've got Lois is played by Rachel. How do you say her last name?
Brosnahan, I
Brosnahan.
think.
Okay,
Brosnahan.
who is in the Miss Maisel show?
Yep,
Is
the
that-
Marvelous
that's-
Mrs.
Yes.
Maisel.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
the only
great.
thing that I know her from, which I haven't even seen. But so I had no
Great show.
basis for her. And then David Cornsweet, is that how do you say it? Is that how you say
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
Yeah.
Corin Sweat.
Pouring sweat. Yeah.
Who I only know from Twisters and Pearl.
Yep.
Where he was the projectionist in Pearl, neither of which are very like Superman-y roles. So really both of these were sort of newcomers for me. So I just kind of had to rely on or hope that James Gunn knew what he was doing when he cast them. I mean, they look the part. So what did you guys think of
Well,
these
Corey
two?
Sweat, if you see him outside of Superman, he doesn't look like Superman necessarily. He's got like kind of orange hair or like blonde hair. I don't know.
Does
It's
he?
like kind of it's a real shaggy, like, I don't know, at least in a lot of recent stuff I've seen him like in interviews on and stuff. He's very much, I don't know. I wouldn't immediately think Superman when I saw
Right.
him.
Right.
Although in Twisters, when I did know he was going to be Superman, I was like, yeah, he could do it. I could
Yeah.
see it on his face. But to answer your question, Rachel Brosnahan is my favorite part. Is my favorite casting choice on this.
I think
and
she is. This is hyperbolic, but I think she's the best Lois Lane that we've seen on screen so far.
Yeah, I was gonna say like this Lois Lane could do her own movie. Like I would
Yeah.
watch the Lois Lane movie. Rachel Brosnahan owns it, and the time that she gets on camera, I think she owns like every scene she's in.
Yeah.
I agree. I think Amy Adams comes in at a close second, but like it was just so nice to see a Lois Lane that wasn't falling out of a window.
Yeah,
Like,
she has to be heroic
Yeah.
many times. Like she's
And-
never the damsel.
and we've already mentioned it twice, but the interview scene between her and Clark/Superman, like, oh, she is a very good reporter. Like she asks very poignant questions.
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, I first saw Rachel Brosnahan on House of Cards back in the day. And then when Marvelous Mrs. Maisel came on, I got sucked into that. It's a pretty great show. But yeah, I'm not familiar with David Cornsweet, and he does. I mean, don't get me wrong, he looks like Superman in Superman, but he even his look kind of brings a different down to earth vibe. Like
Yeah,
a
like
more
he-
approachable Superman,
Mhm.
if that makes sense.
Then say Henry Cavill, who I like. I like Henry Cavill. I don't like, and I think he looks great as Superman, but I don't like that take on Superman, which I think is going to have to be part of the discussion that we're having regarding this one.
Yeah.
I think Henry Cavill's good, and I think he's good in other things, but I think that his portrayal of Superman, and a lot of this goes back to Zack Snyder, to his take on Superman, and honestly his fundamental misunderstanding of Superman, that Henry Cavill's Superman is almost, well, he's considered like a god, and it's
Yeah.
almost like he's this distant god who sort of reigns over humanity. And Henry Cavill has that look. He looks like he's chiseled out of fucking stone.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, he does not look like a real person. He looks like a comic book character that somebody drew.
Yeah.
David Cornsweet, obviously very good looking, very buff, and like he looks like Superman, but he looks like a real dude. Like he looks like a real dude that you could consider, you can buy him as Clark Kent.
Bingo. I was like,
And like you see Henry Cavill walk in with glasses, and you're like, really, motherfucker? Come on. Well,
and that's the thing, like,
It's like The Rock trying to play Clark Kent. It's just,
Right.
okay, that's not working.
yeah.
Well, it's
You're not
kinda,
fooling anybody.
in this, the way that they have Jimmy Olsen and his persona in this film kind of be juxtaposed as the opposite of Clark Kent.
Yeah.
But it's kind of his look lends to that. Like David Cornsweet, he looks like a dork as Clark Kent, which he's supposed to. He's supposed to look dopey.
He's supposed to, but he's not supposed to be quite as dweeby as like Christopher. And I love the Christopher Reeve take on Superman, but I think
Mm.
Christopher Reeve's take on Clark Kent is a little too nerdy.
It was a
I
little
think
mousy. Yeah.
it's a little too much. And I
Yeah.
don't think the way that Superman's been written in the comics is not quite that. He's not Peter Parker.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
He's not Peter Parker. He's not like a loser. He's a good reporter. He wears glasses, so it's like we'd have to portray him as a nerd.
And he's
right?
a country mouse. Like,
Yeah, and
yeah.
that's what he should be. He's a small town guy in the big city. That doesn't make you a nerd. It still makes you a fish out of water. And I feel like Cornsweet plays him a little more like that than nerdy. Like he's a capable reporter. He doesn't like fumble and knock over his pencils and things like that, like you would normally make that character do, like other iterations of that character have done.
Right.
So you can also totally buy him like being in a relationship with Lois, who is like cool as shit. Like she's cool. He is kind of a dork, but it comes from his like upbringing, not from him just being a nerd. Like
Right.
I love the interaction with them about punk rock, where she's like a former punk rock kid, and he thinks he's a punk rock kid, but he just listens to pop punk, which is a very James Gunn way to write the difference between those two characters.
Yeah.
And it sort of encapsulates their entire relationship pretty perfectly, and it's a funny joke.
Yeah.
Well, and my favorite line in the movie, the one that I came out quoting to you guys, I think even was from that scene where she was like, we're totally different. Like I look at things this way, and basically like you've got all this like brightness about you, and you look at everybody and see something beautiful and whatever. And he's like, well, I mean, I guess this is spoiler territory then, but I mean he's like, maybe that's the real punk rock.
I don't think that's spoiler territory at this point, because I've seen at least a dozen headlines already with that as the headline.
Yeah, it was my favorite line because it just lands right now where we are in the world right now, to have hope and optimism and to look at things on the bright side and
to
see
be nice
beauty
to
in
other
everything.
people is the new punk rock. Like being nice to other people, when what is mainstream right now is just being fucking mean.
Yeah.
And cynical and yeah, just dark thing. And then Superman or Clark, whatever, sees the brighter side of all of this stuff. And I love that. I want to go back to something you said about Cavill's Superman that stood out to me when you're talking about like him lording over everyone. That's one of the cool parts about this, I thought, too, because there's even like there literally are scenes in Snyder's Superman where he is like up in the air, like hovering and looking down at everybody, but that there feels like a purposeful that's not happening here. Like he's on the ground with these people and dealing with them, and the people are helping him. And there is one scene in the film where you get kind of that hovering Superman off in the distance, and the lady's looking at him, but it's not played as in like I'm lording over this area. It's played as like I'm a beacon of hope. And
yeah, she just got saved by him, and he sees her, and there's some really dark stuff going on around her, like literally very dark stuff, and he is sort of like framed in the middle of all this, like he is the lighthouse in the darkness.
That's overall the thing I love the most about this, that I think it really nailed. That is what Superman to me should be.
Yeah.
Is that he is inspiring to all these people. I said that before, but you even see that in the film with the Justice Gang, and just that they're almost cynical about their jobs. Like they do their job and they're heroes. They're good people. It's not that. It's they just also are like, look, we do what we can. And all of that. And then it's like by the time Superman's really in the picture and their relationship builds with him, everybody by the end of the movie, it feels like, has got this kind of like, no, we can do more. And there's more that we should be doing. And there's a reason for this. And I see the value in that now. And that's what Superman should be to everybody.
Well, and going to your point about the difference between how Superman sort of treats regular folks in this versus like in the Zack Snyder cut, or in the Zack Snyder movie. One of the things, there are moments in this, like you said, that it feel like specific like refudiation of that version of Superman.
Oh,
saying
absolutely.
Like,
yeah.
And one of the things that struck me most, because one of the biggest complaints about Man of Steel was, and from me as well as many other people, was that there's so much like collateral damage going on, and Superman doesn't seem to give a shit. Like when they're fighting towards the end of the movie, and Metropolis is being destroyed, Superman never goes out of his way to help people who are in trouble in the city that he's supposed to protect. You know, buildings are crumbling, things are crashing. He's just focused on the fight. That's not who Superman is. That's never been who Superman is.
Yeah.
This movie goes out of its way to literally show Superman in the middle of a kaiju fight save a squirrel. Like that's who he is. Like this guy, he cannot help himself. He has to help not just people. He has to help everyone. One of my favorite lines from the movie that really like struck me was he has to go help Crypto, who is, by the way, the star of the movie, Crypto. Um, it's not just because he acts exactly like my dog, which he does.
And kind of looks like your dog too.
He does, yeah.
He kind of hates crypto. And
Yeah, well,
that's kinda fun.
and that's the line where he has to go save Crypto, and he tells Lois, he says he isn't even a very good dog, but he's out there alone and scared, and I have to find him. And that to me, like that's Superman. Like he knows, like yes, he doesn't think that Crypto's a good dog, and he is a good dog. He's just not a well-behaved dog. So first of all, but he's alone and scared, and Superman knows that he can do something about it. So he has to do it because to Superman, to this version of Superman, there's a saying that I read, and I think it was in Devin Faraci's review of this, where he quoted an activist who it's Emma Lazarus, who wrote the inscription on the Statue of Liberty. But one of her other quotes was, "Until we are all free, we are none of us free." That's what Superman's doing here. Like until everyone is safe, none of us are safe. Even a little naughty dog like Crypto. Like our happiness and our freedom depend on everyone else being happy and free. And that's what motivates him, is to just, he's literally trying to save everybody. And he thinks that everybody has good in them, including his arch nemesis. Like he even thinks that he has good in him somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, like Luthor, he thinks that he has the potential to not be just an evil person. And that's like, that is Superman to me. Like Superman is a beacon of not just hope, but just goodness.
Yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Speaking of Lex, like I've seen a couple different people be like, and again, kind of looking at the legacy of Lex Luthor, and of course juxtaposed with Superman, but a lot of people take different opinions about how Lex should be played. What did you guys think of Nicholas Holt as Lex Luthor?
I love him.
He was my wife's favorite part. Like
Yeah.
when we came out, she was like, "He's so good."
He's really
And,
solid. Yeah.
I've been a fan of Nicholas Holt for years. I remember seeing him in About a Boy when he was like 10
Yeah.
or whatever, and which is a great movie if you haven't seen it, really good. But obviously, like Mad Max Fury Road, which was one of his big breaks. X-Men, which one was he in? First Class.
He plays
Mhm.
Hank Beast, but the
That's
first
right.
time
Yeah,
he
yeah.
appeared was First Class, but
Yeah.
he's been Hank the Beast for a while.
Yeah. But I don't know. He's just an actor I've always enjoyed watching, and I think he tried out for the Superman role initially for this.
Yeah.
And
I
James
saw
Gunn
that too.
had him come back and read for Lex, and I think he's a much better. I mean, like Nicholas Holt's very tall. He's like 6'2" or something, and he is in very good shape. He could probably be Superman, but I think there's something about his like whole aura that Lex just works a little bit. There's a mischievous kind of like not evilness to Nicholas Holt that can be transformed into sort of an evilness when you play it the right way on screen.
Yeah,
I think
so
works
too.
really well
Yeah.
for Lex.
And I mean, going and looking at even stuff he's played before. I mean, not 2 years ago he was Renfield, which is kind of a bad guy, but he didn't mean to be.
Yeah, he's not really a bad guy. He's just a good guy in a bad situation.
Yeah, comedy, and it's a comedy.
Yeah, it's
But,
great.
like,
I love Renfield.
I think that kind of shows exactly what you were saying, Justin, like being able to have this sort of mischievous energy, which does lead itself very well to villains, or also just kind of ne'er-do-well underdog type characters,
Yeah.
and he's awesome. It's if you held a gun to my head before, I don't know that I could have told you his name, but I was like, oh, he's the guy in that thing, and I could rattle off half a dozen things he's been in, but I thought he was great. It was not like he wasn't playing the devil, but he wasn't like a he wasn't a kooky Superman.
He's not kooky,
Yeah.
but Lex Luthor, you mean?
Yes. Yeah, sorry. Did I say
No.
Superman?
Yeah, he said Superman. He's definitely
no,
not
no.
playing a kooky Superman.
Yeah.
But
We've misunderstood Superman and Lex's relationship the entire time.
It's tough to build around like so many different characters in the movie. I mean, if I had like a complaint for Lex at all, would be like I don't think we get like as much motivation for like why he's just a dickhead.
Yeah, because well, you're dropped into this story sort of in media res. Like you don't get the origin story. We don't need it at this point. We know who Superman is. We know where he comes from. We get a scroll at the beginning. Not really a scroll, but we get text at the beginning that tells us that basically Superman's been out as Superman for 3 years. So he's established as a hero.
Side note, that is apparently a request from David Cornsweet. Like when they were talking about the movie, like he pitched that to James Gunn because he was like a huge Star Wars fan and was like, why don't we do the opening?
Yeah.
Like just skip through the stuff at the beginning.
Yeah.
Supposedly he had a big part to play with the underwear part too.
Yeah, I read that too because they were having a hard time like designing it, and I think James Gunn even said that he called Zack Snyder, and Zack Snyder was like, we tried it like 500 different ways. We could not get it to look right with the underwear part of the tights. But David Cornsweet he's like, that is the Superman suit. Like we have to try it. So they just kept trying it till they made it work, and it looks great.
He said in one of the things I read, he said like basically, I'm an alien from outer space. I can fly, lift buildings, I shoot lasers out of my eyes that dissolve things, and I'm gonna want kids to not be afraid of me. So what am I gonna wear? I'm gonna have the colorful like
pajamas.
Suit.
Yeah. But you are kind of dropped into this whole story when it's already been going on for several years. So you don't get as much motivation from Lex as far as like why he hates Superman so much, but it's sort of built in that this has been building over time. I think a lot of it is because the Lex that we have here has a massive ego, which I mean, I guess most versions of Lex have a massive ego. As are the real life people that this particular version of Lex is based on. Maybe we'll get into in our spoiler or our spoiler chat later on. But I think part of it is like he wants to be the biggest, most important guy in the room, and you can't do that when there's an all powerful being on the planet. He's going to take away a little attention from you.
Like I was saying, you don't know why he's such a dickhead, but you do. You are very clear that he is a dickhead. And you can see that it's a lot of jealousy. Like, why is this guy getting all the attention? He's not even he doesn't even go here.
Yeah.
And so he hates that about him.
Yeah.
And so he's like, I'm the smartest, most successful man in the world. Like, why doesn't everybody just love me?
Well, since we're talking about the cast, let's mention a couple. You mentioned the Justice Gang earlier, who they sort of start as comic relief, especially Nathan Fillion's character. He plays Green Lantern, the Guy Gardner version of Green Lantern with the goofy ass haircut and everything.
And he picked the haircut too. I read that
I love it.
He wanted the haircut. I'm doing the haircut.
And he's such a smarmy, like it's a perfect role for Nathan Fillion. Nathan Fillion's been in every James Gunn movie since Slither. Like he appears in all of them at some point, even if it's just a voice role sometimes. But he's in all of them. He's kind of him and Michael Rooker are James Gunn's like Lucky Charms. And Michael Rooker's in this as well in a voice. He's one of the Superbots, which I think as is Palm. So a couple different Guardians. There's another Guardian of this that I don't think we should spoil because I don't know that it's common knowledge. So because I didn't know it when I saw it. So I think maybe that's something we shouldn't spoil, but there are several of the Guardians in here. But what did you guys think of the Justice Gang overall? Like you've got Nathan Fillion, Isabella Merced as Hawk Girl, who she was most recently in the second season of The Last of Us. If you saw that, she's really good in that.
Yeah.
And then then Edie Gathegi, I guess is how you say it, as Mr. Terrific, who was also in X-Men First Class. He
Yeah.
played Darwin, I believe,
Yep.
in that. And then they just wrote his character out.
Yeah.
For-
As far as the my familiarity with the characters, I know Guy Gardner, Green Lantern, the best.
Of course.
And
As do
Nathan,
most people.
yeah, Nathan Fillion just truly just knocks it out of the park. He totally embodies Guy Gardner, who's just a asshole.
Mhm.
I thought for a second we might get the Punch Out. Fans of Guy Gardner and the books will know what I'm referring to, but yeah, he absolutely nails it. And to be honest, like I said, I've never been big on Hawkman, Hawk Girl. I've never really been big on that, but like Mr. Terrific really fascinates me as kind of he comes across as kind of a blend of like Bruce Wayne and Tony Stark, of like
Mhm.
very tactical, but like all the technical knowledge with and all the gadgets you can imagine. So I think I'm gonna, in the not too distant future, I might do a little deep dive on Mr. Terrific, see what I can find out.
Well, the Mr. Terrific character in this
Yeah.
is definitely he has the biggest part in the story from any of the other Justice
Yeah.
Gang.
Yeah, for
Without
sure.
giving anything away. Like he does have a much bigger role, which I love because I love the actor.
Yeah,
Edie
he's great.
Gathegi. I think he is fantastic, and I love that character. I'm not overly familiar with Mr. Terrific in the comics. I know who he is, and I know that he's basically like kind of his superpower is like he's just like the smartest dude on the planet,
Yeah.
and he uses that to his advantage. But I just love the way that he's played in this. I think he's very funny in a very dry way, and he's very imposing because
Yeah.
this actor is huge for one thing. Like he's very tall.
Yeah.
He almost towers over Superman.
He's got a little bit of confidence in there that you could almost juxtapose with like Luther, like
Mhm.
that he's also building all this stuff, but he's using it for good. But he definitely has that like, I'm goddamn Mr. Terrific. I don't need your help.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Yep, exactly. And then I think James Gunn is so good at casting, I think in general. So even like the smaller roles are all it's just one great character actor after another. When Beck Bennett showed up as Steve Lombard, I fucking lost it. Like Beck Bennett with his mustache, he was really perfect as that. And Pruitt Taylor Vince as Jonathan is Paul Kent, who I had no idea was in this movie until
Oh
he showed
my
up.
God, yeah.
And Pruitt Taylor Vince is just one of those incredible character actors that you know him when you see him. And
Yeah, especially that right eye of his. You'll know that right eye.
which you don't really get in a
It gets it in one scene. It shows a close up of him, and it starts bouncing.
it's doing the
So
thing. Yeah.
To be honest, like you're absolutely right. James Gunn casts are always just chock full of if they're not famous yet, just wait. They're going to
Yeah.
be huge stars. But the characters, Ma and Paul Kent with Pruitt Taylor Vince and Neva Howell. God, and again, this kind of goes back to what we were saying about Superman, where like Superman's been kind of looked at as this godlike figure, and even Ma and Paul Kent were kind of like this ideal version of the sweet old couple with a farm. Like these feel like real people.
Mhm.
Like especially watching Ma Kent try to keeps
the phone.
leaning into the
Yeah.
cell phone.
It's a great way to introduce those characters. 'Cause
Yeah,
that's such a Ma thing to do.
Oh, very much. And you instantly fall in love with these people as sweet and goofy as they are. You just, oh gosh. Yeah, they absolutely you believe clearly they had local casting in Kansas and just
Mhm.
for a couple. But it's these two wonderful character actors, and they absolutely knock it out of the park.
No, Terrific is great, and then yeah, Ma and Pa Kent. I did want to say with Guy too. I didn't say this before, but it made me remember as I was watching Nathan Fillion. Well, Todd, you mentioned the Punch Out scene, And I remember you brought up the death of Superman, and Guy is there for the whole death of Superman thing. Like he's
Mhm.
like the Green Lantern on the scene at that
Right.
time, or he's not even a Green Lantern at that time. It doesn't matter. He's on the outs or something. But he's there, and he has like a yellow ring at the time. I remember, and he's an asshole, but that he's like one of the people that like steps up to like go one on one with Doomsday in those comics and stuff. So you get the thing of like when it's time to be brave, like he's gonna step up and
Mhm.
do the thing. And so that's what's cool about him because everybody hates him all the other
Because he's
times. But
cocky, but he's
Right, right.
reliable. Cocky but reliable.
yeah, but thinking about those things, I was like, man, it does make sense that Guy is that because you could have easily done like Hal or John or something like that, like one of those Green Lanterns that arguably would be the better known of the Green Lanterns that appear in all the animated stuff and all of that.
Well,
Nathan Fillion.
we are getting all of those in that Lanterns TV show.
Yeah, I just mean like why would like I thought at first with the Superman movie, I was like, well, why would they do Guy? And
I bet James Gunn was like Nathan Fillion would nail this, and I gotta have a part for Nathan.
yeah, well, it makes sense. And then thinking about it just comics wise, I was like, man, Guy does have like some like crossover, like a good
Yeah.
bit of crossover with Superman. So it
Right.
makes sense.
Right. The other people I was excited to see show up because I had no idea he was playing Perry White, but Wendell Pierce, who we just talked about in our Hackers episode because he's the FBI agent in that. But
Yeah.
he's also like he's Bunk. He's Bunk on The Wire. And he's just one of those character actors who I will always get excited to see. And I also did not I either missed the casting news or it just got lost in every other bit of movie news that I read regularly. But Skylar Gisondo, however you say his name, as Jimmy Olsen from Gemstones.
Mhm.
I love his version of Jimmy. And he's got his own little like side plot that's it's integral to the story, but it also provides some really good comic relief. It's a good iteration of this character.
I would have never picked him in a million years, not because I dislike him or anything,
No,
but I
but
just
it's not who
never
you
would
would
have
think
thought
of.
But Jimmy in the comics is kind of a dweeb, but also does get women and
Yeah.
is it's like I don't know. He's actually and has the freckles and everything,
Mhm.
and I'm
Yeah.
like, wow, this
Yeah.
guy is Jimmy Olsen.
I would
Like,
never have thought of him either, but he's kind of perfect for it. It's really great. So,
I was gonna say that like the things that people I think would love most about James Gunn, like you watch something like Guardians of the Galaxy, the best family movies outside of the Fast and Furious ones. The the James Gunn gets huge ensemble casts, and he does it again here. And I wasn't sure what he was going to do with Superman, but the way that Superman has like the Clark world, and then there's also the superhero world, and in both he has like a family of characters that you love by the end of the movie, I don't know. I love that part about him. I will say for fans of I did see this complaint about James Gunn, which I can understand when I said if you hate James Gunn or you're not a huge fan of him. Some people complain that he can't be serious. Like he just there's that he has trouble. He has to have a joke all the time. Like there's always some other joke happening instead of having like a fully emotional, like serious moment between characters. He does if you think that's a problem, I think he pulls it off personally, but if you think that's a problem, he does do that here. There is more of that.
yeah, but I think there are moments that when he really needs to hammer something home and something needs to be purely an emotional beat, then he lets it play out. I mean, he does. I mean, Guardians 3, there are moments in Guardians 3 without spoiling it for people who haven't seen it that like are very like profoundly sad and emotional. And he might put a joke in later, but when that emotional moment is playing out, he will let it play out. But because it's all very like he's a very sincere filmmaker, I think, which is not what you would expect from the guy who wrote Romeo and Juliet.
Right.
But he's very sincere. He's not like just like I really believe that like that's just kind of who he is. It seems like that's who he is, and he's portraying that. And he also likes to joke around. But I think that there are moments in this one as well that are that get sad and get heavy, and he'll let them play out. He won't like throw a joke in when it's inappropriate. He might throw a punchline in after it, but he does let it he does let those moments play out, I think. So I don't see that as an issue at all. I think honestly sometimes you need those moments of levity. Like after some of the stuff in Guardians 3, it's like you need a joke afterwards because otherwise you're just gonna wallow in misery. And
Yeah,
you don't
that was
nobody
that was tough. Can we open this up for spoilers now? Can we say we're in the
I think,
territory of
yeah,
like,
for before we do, for like final thoughts for folks who have not seen it yet.
Yeah, this is worth seeing on the big screen. Get your friends, forget everything you knew about Superman, and go enjoy it.
I think this movie was absolutely worth seeing, and yeah, if you could see it on IMAX, definitely do that. It's a cool looking movie, and it's a
Yeah.
lot of fun, and I don't think you'll have a bad time. I even watched Ben Shapiro's review of it today,
Why?
and because I wanted to know, because there was so much controversy about how woke is this movie
Yeah.
and all of that stuff. So I watched him and another guy from the Daily Wire like do their Superman reviews because I was like, oh, what are they going to bitch about? And even both of those guys were like, it's not as political as people are telling you it is. They're like, there is stuff that if you want it to be, like it can be, but they were like, it's a fun movie. Like it's,
Yeah.
it's
Well, I loved it. I mean, I immediately put it towards the top of my list of like favorite movies of 2025 so far. Not quite the very top, but pretty damn close. It's really hard for anything to beat Sinners for me right
I'm watching
now.
that tonight.
Oh
I'm gonna
God, it's
watch
so fucking good. But
that.
but
I
this is like it got me. I had very high expectations for it, like I said, because I was pretty stoked for it. And it exceeded my expectations. It was everything I wanted it to be and more. Everything that I was curious about, like how's James Gunn going to handle, how's he going to input like his sense of humor into such sort of a square character, and how's he going to work his strengths for ensemble into a story that's about a lone character. But he does it. He manages to do it. He manages to work his strengths into Superman without it feeling out of place. I think the way that he shoots the movie is incredibly dynamic. I think the action scenes and the fight scenes and the flight scenes are unlike anything you've ever seen in a comic book movie before. And I am really stoked to see, like, this is a big deal. Like, this movie's a big deal because it's effectively launching the new DC universe. So it has a lot of weight on its shoulders in order to do so. Technically, the DC universe launched with Creature Commandos, I guess, but I'm very curious how Gunn's own Suicide Squad movie is going to play into that, because that's technically not part of the new universe, but it sort of is because there are characters. I mean, Peacemaker is still canon.
yeah, Peacemaker is still canon. I think there's stuff they cover in this movie that maybe help explain some of
Yeah.
that potentially if they want it to. But the he also said, if I'm not mistaken, I saw something today that said that technically the launch point was also that Christopher Reeve documentary that they did, because he said that everything about this encapsulates what we want to capture with the new DC
Oh wow.
EU. And
Well,
I thought that was fun.
I think this is a fantastic launch for it makes me very excited for where the directions that he's taking it.
With
He is
without it feeling like a 2 hour trailer. Like
no,
it's
it never bothers setting up things
yeah.
for future
It could have
installments.
it could have felt like the middle of a series or something. It could have
Yeah.
felt like you were just dropped in and you missed the first one or something. And,
I mean,
and they
obviously,
somehow balance it.
there are characters here like the Justice Gang who will probably, I mean, we know Guy Gardner is going to show up again. I'm sure the other ones are. Mr. Terrific is getting a lot of like great buzz on, like, people are really digging that character, so he could get his own thing down the line. That's not anything that's been announced. There's a character cameo towards the end that we're not going to spoil that will definitely, like, I'm sure show up again. But this movie's not doing the Marvel thing where it's like Iron Man 2 barely exists as a movie. It's just set up for the Avengers. Like, that's all that movie is good for. They're not doing that. His goal with the DCU, I think is what he's calling the DCU, is to make good movies using these characters. And he has even said, he's like, we're not announcing we're not announcing the next 8 movies we're doing. We're waiting on a good script to come in. When that script is ready, we'll get started on the movie, and then we'll announce it. And we're not going to do it until the script's ready.
Yeah.
So, and I love that approach, because that is something that Marvel has absolutely not done. And they've faltered for it, I think.
Yeah.
So I'm really
Yeah.
excited for it.
Everybody wants it to build up to Justice League and stuff, but I'm like, man, I'm ready for like Superman 2. I'm
Yeah.
just like, and
Let's
do
give it
these individual
let's give it some
characters.
breathing room before we
Yeah.
jump
Yeah,
into any big team things.
and I agree with his approach. Like, I mean, and James Gunn's sticking with it. With like he wanted Batman, he wanted another Batman, and they've been putting it off and putting it off because they want the script to be ready, which finally was like a week ago or whatever. And then, but like Mike Flanagan pops in the middle of everything. It's like I got a Clayface script, and
Yeah.
he reads it like, all right,
let's do it.
this is good. This is ready.
Yeah, let's do it. Exactly. And I like that approach. And I like that they're playing with the Elseworld stuff, like with the Matt Reeves Batman, which does not take place in this universe. If you watch Superman and you watch the Batman, there's no way that they exist in the same universe. They're
Right.
vastly different.
Yeah.
I think I am curious what his version of Batman is going to look like. I'm really hoping for gray and blue Batman. I really want a big screen gray and blue Batman. I think that would fit in this universe better than other versions of Batman. So we'll.
I have a hard time seeing Robert Pattinson's Batman fitting into this. But anyway, we were gonna keep this short. So
okay, let's
Spoiler territory. We are in spoiler territory.
Yeah. So if you have not seen Superman, and you don't want to be spoiled on some stuff, we're gonna have a short little wrap up discussion, but we're gonna get into some story specific things that you might not want spoiled for you. So this is your official warning. Go away. Go see the movie. We all liked it. It's good. There.
wait, is it the best? Is it the best? Real quick, is it the best, Todd?
The best what movie?
Superman movie. Is it the best Superman movie ever made?
I think an argument could be made for that. If you're asking my personal opinion, it's still there has been a Superman for every generation, and I think
Yes or no, Todd?
yes, yes, it is.
I do like his qualifier because I was thinking
yeah.
about this and I was like 100% like for me personally, and then we'll go to Justin. I thought, yes, this is the best Superman movie. Then I was like, but Superman 78 is so good. And
Yeah.
and this exists because of that. So I was
Yeah.
like, there's some discussion there, like
It is-
because David Corenswet is 100% like that. Fucking
Here's-
like, hey,
it
big
exists.
guy, eyes
It
up
exists.
here, you know?
It exists because of Richard Donner's Superman, without leaning on it so much like other films have in the past. Like
Superman Returns.
yeah, and it can definitely walk. It walks on its own two legs. Like it's
Superman did its thing with like 78 did its thing with like you will believe a man can fly, and that was all cool and
Yeah.
everything. I
Right.
think for the times though, like if you're like in context of where we're at in the world, this like look up thing and all of that, like this fucking movie is just perfect. But
Well,
anyway, Justin,
The Superman 78 came at an interesting time in history as well, because this is just after the Vietnam War. Like the 70s sucked. You've got Watergate, you've got the gas crisis, like things. So looking back on a character like Superman, especially a kind of very square version of Superman that felt like it was from the 50s, like from before, like things were shitty in the 50s as well. We were just better at pretending it wasn't. But the 70s were a pretty abysmal decade in general in the world and world history. So having this beacon of like hope sort of served the same purpose then as this version is doing now.
yeah.
Because things are pretty shit. Things are as shitty right now around the world as they've been since pre-World War II, which is when Superman was invented. So Superman was invented just a few years before World War II. But for me, I think this is a truer version of the character than anything we've seen on film. I think this version of Superman is more in line with what I expect from Superman and Lex Luthor. It's a much closer version of Lex Luthor than Gene Hackman. And I love Gene Hackman in that movie. But as far as like comic accurate, not that that's always has to be a qualifier, but I do think this is a more comic accurate version, not just in look, but in his
Execution.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
and I love that he's still into real estate this time. It's just much bigger real estate, which we'll
Yeah.
get into in our spoilers, I think.
well,
But,
yeah, I think we're here. We're in the
yeah.
spoilers.
Yeah,
But yeah,
let's-
my answer is yes. I think this is the best Superman movie.
It could definitely do some things Superman 78 couldn't do. So it
Oh,
has
from a
that short
technical
to it.
standpoint, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So do we want to get into some of the more spoilery casting stuff? Because
Yes.
there were a bunch of people we didn't talk about.
Yeah, I'm ready. Let's talk about spoilers. Faux sure. I
Um,
did faux sure.
for show, for show.
Oh, sure. Like, who are you thinking,
um,
Todd? You thinking like, are you thinking like Bradley Cooper as
I was,
Jor-El?
yes, I was. I was like, holy shit, is that Bradley Cooper?
So weird. Such a
For
weird.
my money, by the way, this whole yeah, I wasn't expecting to see him, and I'm sorry if I stepped on you talking about the casting part of it, but just let's talk about Jor-El too in general. The, this is one of my complaints about the movie is the plot line involving this family.
Video, like the video
The video?
message.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
tell me, you guys might know because I I don't know this as a storyline from the comics. Was this ever anything that's been addressed in the comics that you guys know of?
Here's the thing. It's never been like so blatantly said, but I mean, even if you go back to Dick Donner's film, the scene as, Jor-El and Lara are packing up, little baby Cal to go to Earth, it's like they're primitives. They're thousands of years behind us. Like the inference is there of
It's
like,
implied, yeah.
yeah, it's just kind of like they spin it of like he's going to be different. He's going to be an outsider. But Jor-El's like, he's going to be strong. He's going to be fast. He'll defy Earth's gravity. Like, so there was definitely I think all the pieces were there. It was just not connected in a, hey,
Whereas
go ahead
blatantly,
and
like,
conquer them and make a new Krypton. It was never that. It was never blatantly said, but it would not have been out
I
of
don't
the realms from a storytelling perspective for them to say something along those lines.
I think it makes sense that it could happen. I don't I still feel like it's not always going to be that way. I feel like somewhere down the line this is a story aspect that might change, like we didn't get to it yet, but although Lex does say in the movie it's not a lie or something like that and I halfway believe him. So
yeah.
um
I mean, I don't have an issue with it, honestly, because I feel like Jor-El has always sort of been portrayed as a little bit of a darker character, like a little bit of a somewhat untrustworthy. Like there have been aspects of that character that he's not like a goody two shoes. And also thematically, it really plays into what this movie is trying to say, which is there's a character even tells him at one point, what's more important is what you got out of the message and what you took from it. And what you took from it was that I'm here to help these people.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't hate it like so much that I'm, hating the movie, but it's definitely I don't know. I also liked like the Moses aspect of it or something that there's these people from this other place that are trying to save their own planet and they can't, but they
Yeah.
think that their son can
Thrive
be that
elsewhere.
for
Yeah.
someone. Yeah, be
I
that for
don't
some another place.
I don't know that I fully agree with your assessment of Jor-El there, Justin, but I definitely think he's always been portrayed as a scientist,
Mm-hmm.
so a realist. So he's the only one who's just like, so anybody else want to leave the planet? No, so we're all going to die. Well, okay. But at the same time, I think, in looking at the major portrayals of Jor-El, that being Marlon Brando and Russell Crowe,
Mm-hmm.
like it's the same kind of vibe that Superman had of just kind of this larger than life character with this, unmistakable, baritone, captivating voice. And not that Bradley Cooper can't do that stuff, but again, he just kind of looks like a guy. He's just a dude. And
I
I
mean,
think,
I don't have any issues with the casting. I think
yeah,
it's
but I was just gonna say,
inconsequential.
I think it's good to see that. But yeah, I mean, I'm even trying to think back in the books. I think because they explore Superman's background a little bit more in Superman Birthright, as opposed to like Superman for All Seasons or some of the other things that they mentioned as influences on the movie. And it was very much he was very much a scientist, and there was definitely political unrest throughout the planet, which didn't help in Krypton's ultimate fate because they were so focused on a fight that shouldn't have been going on that they let the planet go to shit. Um, so yeah, but I don't know that he's ever really been portrayed as sort of a I forget the phrasing you used, mischievous or
Untrustworthy.
untrustworthy. I
Yeah.
don't know that they've
Or having
ever.
ulterior motives, maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know that that's the place that it brought me to. If you've never read Invincible or if you've never seen the series on Amazon Prime, it's very good.
Mm.
And the Amazon Prime series that's out, it's a cartoon, but it's got a couple of seasons. It's pretty dead on to the comics. But spoiler alert for that. Invincible is like the story is about this kid who is basically Superman's son. And so he starts getting superpowers. And so Superman, who is Omni-Man in this universe, he is training him to be a superhero. But then you find out, again, spoiler alert, that Omni-Man is sent there to like from basically Krypton repopulate the Earth, and eventually
Mhm.
like this is a colonizing race, and they're eventually going to come here. So he's basically prepping the place
Hmm.
for all of this. So the kid finds out that his dad is this guy. And so like Superman is this guy. Now this kid's got to deal with like, well, what now? You know,
Yeah.
and that's kind of interesting. So it reminded me of that a little bit. I like the movie. I just that part of it. I'm like, why'd you have to do that? I don't. I mean, I guess I get it gets the point across. You make a good point there, like with the message it's trying to deliver. But
It comes down to that conversation that Clark has with Paul Kent, which is Paul Kent basically tells him like, listen, you are whoever you choose to be. It doesn't matter what anyone else has told you you're supposed to be. Like you get to choose. And that's where that comes. I think that point hits harder because he was sent there with different motives. Because his father was his biological father was saying, "I'm sending you to be a weapon, and you don't have to be a weapon. It's the Iron Giant. It's you don't have to be a
Uh,
gun, you know." So to me, that makes that hit home a little bit harder because it is there in the story that he was expected to be something else, but he decided to let the good side of him be the dominant side.
I will say I never thought I would mention Ben Shapiro on this show, but I will
Twice
mention him.
now.
I'll mention him again. His review, he did bring up one thing that I thought was interesting. He said that he liked the Pa Kent story, and Ben Shapiro like used to be a screenwriter or was an aspire. He's a failed screenwriter, I should say.
That's
But
more accurate.
um, but he basically was talking about that speech from Pa like was one of the parts where he was like, but because he was saying Pa was talking about we don't help you become who you're going to be. We give you the tools to find that out and blah blah blah. And Ben's point was yeah, but your parents do kind of influence who you are, and their job is to show you what's right and what's wrong. And he brought up Superman Red Sun, and he was like, "Did you guys read Superman Red Sun? It mattered where he landed and who he
Mhm.
landed with.
Yeah.
Like your parents are a big influence, and that's a part of like who makes you who you are."
But I think that's part of the tools that he's referring to are, when it during that speech is they're not telling you this is who you have to be, but they're imparting their values on you. So that kind
Yeah.
of thing. Well, so you mentioned that since we're on the subject of I can't believe it, but Ben Shapiro, you said that he didn't think that the movie was very overtly political, and I sort of like very much disagree. I think James Gunn's politics are very clear in this movie.
Well, you can almost take it as insulting, I guess, in a sense, because I think his point was there is some in there, and it depends on how much you want to read it. Because he was saying like the deal with Moravia and I forget the name of the other place.
Yeah.
Uh, um, that the war between them, and he's like, yeah, if you want to project Israel, Palestine, or Ukraine, Russia, or something like that on there, you could because it's generic. And he was like, it's not, we don't know the politics of either of those places. We don't, except that the one guy's an asshole, but you don't know, like,
Who's trying to wipe out the other, the like blatantly says, I want to see the death of every other person in this country. Like he is
yeah, that's
committing
true.
genocide. He's committing
Moravia
genocide.
is definitely an asshole-ish place. Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Jara Hanpour.
thank you.
Jarahadpur.
Yeah.
But when I mean, yes, it is technically you are projecting on it, but let's not pretend like that was not James Gunn's intention.
I think
Like,
James Gunn probably was thinking that.
like
Yeah.
that's exactly what he's
Yeah.
doing. The same way that he's portraying, like he blatantly refers to Clark as an alien. He's obviously commenting on immigration, and especially in this country, and as well as Lex's outburst about that towards the end of the movie.
I think they had
and Lex, let's not forget, is a narcissistic billionaire, and we've got a few of those in this country.
Yep.
yeah. Well, and I guess that's maybe where he's going to is like it's generic enough that like you're like he's a narcissistic billionaire. We can relate that to more than one person or something, you know, if
Yeah.
we wanted to. I don't know. I'm not inside Ben Shapiro's mind, luckily, but I do think probably what happened with some conservative pundits or that they're like or influencers is that they work themselves up so much because I saw all this stuff about uh what was the Superman phrase?
Truth, justice.
Truth, justice, and yeah, the American way was originally the thing, and they were like, no, it's like the human way. I think David Corenswet said that in an
Yeah.
interview or something, and
Like that's a bad thing.
and I'm like, yeah, okay. it's a,
Like,
but
who
they had worked
cares?
themselves up. This was going to be like a really quote unquote woke movie,
yeah.
and it's like there are those things in it, and I think,
Mhm.
but there's like peppered on in like different little places, but it's not like
It's-
all about that. So maybe they just had built themselves up.
It
too
sort of
much.
is very much about that. I mean, it is very much about Lex Luthor wanting to get rid of Superman because he feels threatened by his alienness. I mean, that is what the movie is about.
Yeah.
100%. Now, that's always been Lex Luthor's thing, but that being in a movie in 2025.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
like you can project like certain things onto it. I do. You could still say that Lex is also doing the Lex thing that he always does of just being like jealous of the fact that this guy is so beloved, and
Yeah.
he's like,
But
and
his-
it is because he's alien, but also because
Well,
he's like he's got all these powers.
I
and-
mean, that speech of his, of Lex's at the end, I mean, he screams at him about and blatantly calls him an alien.
I'm
where he-
aware envy consumes my every waking moment. I know when they mention Galileo or Einstein or one of these other twits in the same breath as me, I feel a tide of vomit burn the back of my throat. But at least Galileo did something. He wasn't some dopey Venusian catapulted onto this planet just to have the world fawn over him, because his strength illuminates how weak we all are. So my envy is a calling. It is the sole hope for humanity because it is what has driven me to annihilating you.
I think that's a pretty like a theme that's run with Lex
Yeah, I
almost
don't
in
think
every
yeah, 'cause
version. Like that he's got kind of this like, why this fucking guy?
it's not that
And-
he's an alien, it's that he is so much better.
right,
Yeah.
but
Like,
in
I
that
think
why are
it
they
makes
not
him
cheering
feel,
me?
It makes him feel less than.
It makes
that
him feel less
Superman
than.
that he can do all these things, and Lex is like, I'm the best there is. I'm the best human there is.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in
this
that
fucking
last
guy.
speech, like he specifically like screams like this guttural scream from his throat, like the word alien at Superman, and that's pretty blatant. I mean, that's pretty blatant.
Yeah, well, yeah, that, yeah. Yeah.
And that leans into Superman's sort of like kind of hokey speech at the end, which I like because I think Superman is a hokey character, so I think it's very fitting. But it's very like his like whole speech about
I have that one ready to go too if you'd like.
That was the
fine.
one-
we've seen the movie. At this point, we're in the spoiler territory, so everyone's seen it. But yes,
That's the one where I was like, that's where James Gunn's sensibilities do come into play because the attack from Crypto, like right on the tail of it, is like, okay, that's perfect because you've made
Yeah.
that hokey moment. Like that was getting a little much. The one where I would say like, you know, where I could see people bitching the most is like him and Lois, Superman and Lois having the conversation in the apartment and the Justice Gang is outside the window, like fighting that
I love
alien
that.
or whatever.
I love that scene.
Which I found funny too, but I'm just saying, like, I could see people being like, "Can you just have a moment between these two? Like, there's
Yeah.
got to be like a running gag happening out on the other side. If you can't, like your ADD's too much that you can't just focus on these two for a second. Or something
That didn't
like
bother
that.
me. Maybe I just don't
No,
mind
no,
that
I'm not
stuff.
saying it bothered me either, but I'm just saying I could see that complaint if somebody
Yeah.
has it. But whatever. Why I do think that it's annoying that the Hammer of Baravia is still out there on the loose, and there's people probably terrified of him and thinking that he can beat Superman, and nobody's ever going to stop him.
Wait, where does he end up at the end of the movie?
He doesn't. He doesn't come back after that one scene.
But no, he was. What are you
Oh,
talking about?
Ultraman? You mean Ultraman? Yes,
Yeah.
but I'm saying in that universe, nothing ever happens to the Hammer of Baravia. Ultraman just takes off the suit at the end of that.
Oh, so
little part.
the people don't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't know that
they-
Ultraman is the Hammer of
Gotcha.
Baravia.
So they just think the Hammer of Baravia is still out. I thought you were saying he was still out there. Like, Gary, did you not understand that?
No,
that's,
I'm
that's,
saying
that's-
from the perspective of
Gary
the
really
citizens-
dove into this. Gary's very empathetic. Really
for the-
sided with the people of Barovia.
No, I'm saying like the for the citizens of Metropolis and maybe even the U.S. government.
yeah. 'Cause
They're like the Hammer of Baravia is still out there and he can fuck Superman up.
Yeah, because they don't know that who he really is, which
Right,
yeah, it's
right.
it's a fun little twist. But I think we've said enough about this movie, guys, for a mini
Um,
episode. Do you have anything else to add before we wrap
I
it up?
do wonder why Lex Luthor is so interested in having whatever that country was again.
They say
Daraham
because,
Darahmanpur.
they say because of the oil reserves. They say
Yeah,
that in
I'm
the
just
movie.
saying the motherfucker apparently figured out pocket universes, which Mr. Terrific was like kind of iffy on.
They don't have any
It's,
oil in those.
You don't know, but they probably got something else. He can build like a little empire in a pocket universe or something. I think that's a little like, I mean, it's very campy. It's comic booky. It's fine.
Yeah.
But it's just
Um,
like, wow, you really care about this one half of a country and
Yeah.
and you can do this.
He wants his
Yeah.
own country. He wants it was going to be called like Lutherville or something. But he just wants, like they showed it on the map. It was one of those selfies. It wasn't called Lutherville, but it was like Luther something or
Yeah, Luthertopia or
Luthertopia,
Lex-
Lutherwania.
Lithuania, that's what-
But it was, I think that's just an ego thing. He could say like, I own half a country. And that would matter to him.
yeah, that's
Don't
true.
mess with Lexus.
I do love that they changed it to Luther Core instead of LexCorp because who names a company after their first name?
Yeah,
Honestly,
that's true.
Well, I think in Smallville that was the thing, right? Like his dad called it Luther Core, and then he eventually changes it to Lex Core or something.
oh, does he? Okay, I
Yeah,
didn't watch
yeah.
Smallville. I mean, I watched a little bit of it, but not enough to know anything about it.
Did you guys want to talk about the music?
It's good.
It was good. I wish they would have just. I wish they would have dropped the actual John Williams score in there at some point. I feel like they could have run with
Well,
it, but I do like the guitar.
Yeah, I think they
used it a good bit.
yeah, they did. It was scored by John Murphy and David Fleming, and I saw incorporating John Williams' original score,
Yeah.
which
I
Yeah,
think
to be
they
honest,
use
like
it. They just.
I
they,
don't
like,
know that there's a
start
more-
with it, and it-
I think the more intimidating role in a Superman movie, besides wearing the suit, is like, hey, try to beat John Williams' original
No.
theme.
no,
Yeah,
you
don't-
don't,
No, you don't. No.
because arguably that's like, if not John Williams' best score ever, it's in the top few.
It's
Yeah.
one of his
it's-
most iconic. Yeah,
it's
for sure.
it's easily top 5, maybe top 3.
hmm
It's
Yeah.
it's up there for sure. And then you had a couple songs. I was really happy they didn't make this just slam full of like needle drops.
No,
Um,
which people expected that because of Guardians of the Galaxy, but those are the only movies he really does that in, and they fit into the story.
It was part of the
characters.
narrative. Yeah.
Yeah,
of, like, he's
exactly.
got
So
this-
it made
the
sense, but
headset.
that's not necessary. And because those are the movies he's most closely associated with. I mean, he did it a little bit in Suicide Squad, but not. I'm no more than he does here. I think he drops a couple of them in Suicide
Yeah.
Squad, but here, you've got a couple of them. You've got.
The one at the end makes sense.
Is it the Mighty Crabjoys?
Yeah.
Is that
The I am the punk rocker.
oh,
Um,
the Iggy Pop song. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Punk Rocker by Teddy Bears featuring Iggy Pop. Yeah.
Hmm.
I
I'm
will.
not familiar with the Mighty Crab Joys. Is
That's
that?
because they were made up for the movie, Todd. They are
Oh,
not.
okay.
They are not a real band.
Is that
Not
a
a real
thing?
band.
Like,
No,
I know I don't have my finger on the pulse of music, but like,
I-
did I miss something?
no.
No,
They were
now I mean, now
definitely.
that you have AI bands, you could just make them a band.
That's
Yeah,
fine.
true. That's
but
Side
they-
note,
true.
I thought of this like back in like 2010. I don't know if you remember this, Justin. I talked about like making a fake band for MySpace, and I didn't know really how to execute this, but I thought it would be fun to make a fake band and see if anybody could do that. And now it's on Spotify. There's a fake band. I don't know if you guys have seen this.
I've seen the news about it. I've purposely not listened to them because I don't want to contribute to their to their numbers. But
Um,
uh,
I will say I did also. This made me think of. I don't know how we thought we were going to keep this under 30 minutes. I I did watch this movie thinking, or today when I was watching clips from it again and stuff, I was thinking about Star-Lord a lot and just how interesting the comparison would be with like James Gunn doing Star-Lord and then Clark, and how they're both, pulled away from their home world and raised by somebody else, and just like how you portray those characters and stuff. And I just thought that was interesting
mhm.
because Superman, depending on where he ended up, like Star-Lord's raised by the Ravagers, I guess. So he's kind of a snotty character, but then Superman's more like wholesome. And I don't know. I don't know really where I'm going with this, except that I just thought it was interesting how he portrays these two like characters, both leads of their movies that are like,
And both of the flip side of the coin.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just interesting just seeing how he didn't make Superman a man baby like Star-Lord, I guess you
Yeah.
could say. And
Yeah.
it's cool that it just, I don't know, him being able to write both characters pretty differently.
I just looked up the credits on that Mighty Crabjoy song, and it was co-written by James Gunn and Eric Nally, who you may have noticed. I noticed because I pointed it out. I think I pointed it out to you, Gary, that
Yeah.
in the end credits and the thank yous at the end, he thanked Foxy Shazam, and Eric Nally is the lead singer of Foxy Shazam. So the Mighty Crabjoys, I think, are probably Foxy Shazam. At least Eric Nally
Yeah.
singing, because it just the credits just say performed by the Mighty Crabjoys, but that's definitely Eric Nally's voice. I mean, it's pretty distinct.
Nice.
That's fun. Guys got anything else? Anything else you
No,
wanna
I
talk
think we're
about?
ready to wrap this up with some final thoughts.
Oh,
Christopher Reeve's son was in there, by the
Yeah.
way. Will Reeves.
yeah,
He made a
Will Reeves is
cameo.
in there. Michael
Oh, we didn't talk
Rosenbaum's
about
in there.
Supergirl, did we? We didn't say anything
No.
about Supergirl.
No, we
She's
didn't.
there.
We also didn't say anything about the engineer, which I feel bad about because I think she was a badass in this. Like, I think that I've never seen that actress before. I looked her up on IMDb and I don't recognize really anything she's in. Maria Gabriela de Faria is her name.
Yeah.
But the character was portrayed really cool, but also like she just is like got like kind of movie star like just a movie star quality to her. Like she's very charismatic.
Yeah. Very
Well,
much.
just wait because she is the leader of the Authority, and there's
engineer
apparently
is?
something in the work.
Okay,
yeah,
good.
there's something in the works for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so,
Which
the
I think, like,
Authority,
Them opening
They're-
up the Pocket universe and them, they didn't say, they called it something else. Not, was it Planet Watch or what did they call it?
I think it was Planet Watch.
Was it Planet Watch? It made me think of Stormwatch, which was I was a big fan of Stormwatch Team Achilles back in the day. It was very much like post 9/11 superhero cops basically.
Right.
And it was a real kind of boots on the ground approach, kind of behind enemy lines type vibe. It was really cool. But it went away after like 2 years, and but I wondered if because it was closely tied to the Authority, and they actually use that pocket universe to travel very quickly around the globe.
Okay.
So I wondered if they were going to, in addition to the Authority, if they were going to do something with what eventually becomes Stormwatch.
Okay. I guess we'll find out. That's pretty interesting. I didn't know all that.
Yeah. Oh
there-
yeah.
got-
You
got-
mentioned.
I love I love the Authority.
Wow.
But the reason I say hang on because it's essentially like the characters in it relate to other comic characters, but two of the badasses on the team are Apollo and I forget it's like Night something,
Midnighter.
but
Midnighter.
Midnighter, and it's basically Batman and Superman. Uh,
Like
as far
combined.
as what they do, no,
Huh.
like Apollo is like Superman and
Oh,
Midnighter is
gotcha.
like Batman, and and they are lovers.
Yeah.
Ooh,
And so I
that's
have
fun.
yeah, and I'm just waiting for like, oh well,
What's
like,
Ben Shapiro going to think
I
about
was
that?
about to say I'm going to be
Yeah.
watching Ben Shapiro's review on that.
You mentioned the cameo of Supergirl at the end. That's Millie Alcock from House of the Dragon, who's playing Supergirl, which is
Mhm.
a cameo there at the end, which I'm assuming is going to set up her in the future. Michael Ian Black's got a great cameo as sort of this
Yes.
like political pundit on TV, which I think is
he's
great
Tucker
because
Carlson.
yeah, which is so great that it's Michael Ian Black because that is like the opposite of who Michael Ian Black is. It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
I also love that James Gunn always puts his like buddies, like Steve Blackheart and oh, what's her name, Michaela Hoover. Those are friends of James Gunn's who they always have a small role in about everything that he does.
Nice.
And I love that they get thrown in here a little bit too. But
Frank
Frank Grillo.
Frank Grillo as
yeah.
Rick General Rick Flag Senior. Yeah.
Which
I
is
think
great. 'cause
Yeah.
That
he was in
opens
Creature
up
Commandos.
another. I think that opens up another avenue of exploration of like.
Well, he's already confirmed to be in the second season of Peacemaker, who
There
John
you go.
Cena also gets a cameo in the movie as Peacemaker. So we know that that's all,
Right.
it's all obviously in the same universe. It's a very funny John Cena cameo as well. But Frank
Yeah.
Grillo is confirmed to be in season 2 of Peacemaker, which comes out in just a few weeks, I think, in August. I think it comes out.
Cool.
So pretty stoked. for
And
that.
Sean Gunn's in there at least for a minute.
Yeah,
I've seen
he's-
him in the
Yeah.
he gets like one line.
well, and I'm saying Sean Gunn's going to be a Peacemaker as
Oh,
well.
yeah,
like in the
yeah.
second season, I think, as Maxwell Lord. But yeah.
as Maxwell Lord, which is the character he plays in
Yeah,
cameos
right.
in this. Yeah. Well, they can't bring
I
they
think
can't bring
it's-
his like Weasel character back.
No.
Because I think he gets exploded, doesn't he, in Suicide Squad?
Oh, I haven't finished Creature Commandos.
No, in Suicide
oh wait, no.
Squad. The
In
very
Suicide
first scene,
Squad.
the Weasel.
That's right.
Sean Gunn plays the Weasel.
Isn't he somebody in Creature Commandos too?
I haven't seen Creature Commandos.
I haven't seen that.
Oh.
Either.
I started watching it, but I haven't finished it. Whatever. Kirk is going to be in Kirk from Gilmore Girls.
Yep.
Is but I don't know. It could be just like a cameo because it looks like in the scene that I saw in like the trailer for Peacemaker, it was like he's auditioning to be in the Justice Gang or something, and I think it's not going to go well. So
Yeah. All right, guys. I think we've said enough about Superman for what was supposed to be a
Yeah.
mini episode. So,
I do have one
oh my
sort of.
Jesus Christ!
I'm just happy as Todd extending it.
Every time I'm trying to end this episode,
I know.
tell me what is
So,
it, Todd?
Okay, so for anyone who is still listening, first of all, thank you. But yes, I actually the day of, I started my day with Dick Donner's original, and then went to Superman Returns and Man of Steel, and then left for the theater to watch the new one. And
How do you watch the original and not watch part 2? Like I feel like those have to go together.
because I wanted to hit each era before we went
Oh,
went
I
to the
see. So
theater.
yeah, you were just
Yeah.
hitting each version.
Because I totally debated. I was like, oh, do I watch part 2 or do I just go straight to Returns? Having watched Returns again, maybe the first time since the theater, it's not good, but I don't think it's as bad as everybody remembers.
I think it
um,
tries. I think it tries too much to be
It tries very hard to be.
the Richard.
It tries
Donner
very
one.
hard to be part 3, and
I
it's,
think Brandon Routh got a bad rap on that. I think because the movie wasn't very good. I think Brandon Routh is great.
yeah,
I think he should be a bigger star than he is. But I don't think anything in that movie that I dislike has anything to do with him.
right, yeah, but that was it, and God, like for as cool and moody as Man of Steel is, it's just kind of a bummer.
Yeah,
It's
well,
a
I think that's
bummer.
the general consensus about
Yeah.
that movie.
I mean, everything up until like the color grading in
Yeah.
those Zack Snyder movies is a
Yeah,
bummer. Like it
yeah.
just
Mhm.
it's depressing, and that's the part I meant to say this earlier too, but I thought of Sam Raimi's Spider-Man because we had just done these movies in our Sam Raimi series, and
Yeah.
I remember just especially those first two. One thing that got me then that has stuck with me is just how bright and hopeful
Comic
and
booky.
happy comic booky, and just like as dark as it ever gets, there's still like the light at the end of the tunnel, basically, with all
Yeah.
those movies, and it's
Yeah.
just and it just and you could argue that that's something that has been lost along the way with like superhero movies, and it looks like with, I mean, it is with Superman. It looks like even with Fantastic Four. Maybe we should try to do this again for that
Yeah.
one. But
Yeah.
with Fantastic Four, it seems like there's something about bringing back the hopefulness and fun of comic book movies. It's not to say like all of them are bad. Like the Spider-Man movies have been pretty cheesy and fun, but
Yeah.
in general. But Sam Raimi got it. Like Sam and when we covered Sam Raimi, I think we talked about this, but just how cheesy he kind of is in general.
Yeah.
Like his
Yeah.
humor just lends itself that way anyway.
Just corny.
But yeah. But it's like that's okay.
That's okay.
That's okay. That's fun.
This movie's a
And,
little corny, and that's okay because it's Superman. He's supposed to be a little corny. He grew up in Kansas. There's corn everywhere.
Right. He should play for the Packers
Oh.
or something. I don't know what I'm
Whoa.
talking about.
I thought I would embrace the corniness.
Yeah.
He,
For
he
sure.
did it. He wishes he would have written that joke into Superman.
Woo. Woo.
All right, let's wrap this up, guys. Where
I
can
do
you be
feel
found?
bad that they killed that
Just
goddamn kaiju.
They did not, did they? Did he die?
Yeah, they killed it.
No,
Yeah, they
Superman
killed him.
tried to. He tried to
Mr.
save him.
Terrific murdered it.
Well,
Mhm.
all right.
Also, James Gunn has some like Justin. I'm gonna have something every time Justin tries to.
I'm not even going to try anymore. I'm just going to let you guys talk.
But for real, what's his fucking obsession with eyeball violence? I don't know what his deal is there,
I think
but they
you
did it.
have an obsession with eyeball violence.
I
Yeah.
hate it, which is why it stands out to me. But James Gunn did it in this movie with that damn kaiju. He did it in the Suicide Squad with that giant starfish thing, and they were like trying to drill into his fucking eyeball.
It's the softest
And
part
it-
of a kaiju.
Yeah,
true.
I guess
It's that or the
ugh,
butthole. What are you going to pick?
Mm.
butthole.
Is it time to
All
wrap
right.
this up? Are we
It is
good?
time to wrap this up.
I do want to bring up that.
Shut up, Gary.
We're done. We're done talking about this. Let's get this. We're never going to get it. It'll be the movie will be out for a week before we get this out if we don't shut up. So,
I'm gonna edit and post this thing tonight.
all right.
All right.
Do
Let's
it.
do it. All right. Well, real quick then, where can you be found on the internet?
At This Is Gary Horn.
I'm at Justin_Bishop.
And I'm at Mr. Todd A. Davis.
And the show is at cinema_shock and cinemashock.net and all that. Until next time,
May the wings of liberty never lose a feather.
and be excellent to each other, which is basically what this movie's trying to say.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, the wings of liberty and be excellent.
Johnny having the keys. Yeah.
Yeah, that,
Yeah.
that, and that.
Yeah.
My favorite Superman quote.
Here's the thing. He was actually supposed to use the keys to start a new Krypton. But they were just like, hey, use the keys as best as you can with humanity. We are giving the keys to you.
If,
And yeah.
if I'm the editor, this is where the podcast ends.
Yeah, it's already over. At this point. This is